me?
No, it's not.
Not yet. Yeah, are you coming through the...
Now it is. Now it's...
It says I'm live. Can you see me, Bob?
I'm just looking now. Yeah, I've got a play button now. Yes, I see you. Okay, I'm hanging up.
Okay, thank you. Hi, thank you so much, Bob. Runners, I'm so sorry for the delay. We had a just a little camera issue and we had to switch browser. So thank you so much for being here today to talk about mindful eating for runners. My name is Dr. Karen Honig, and I'm a marathon runner. I've run about over 40 marathons and one full Ironman and lots of triathlons and lots of all different distances running events. So it's a pleasure to be here today. And again, I apologize for the delay. So in the past, when I used to talk about sports nutrition and running and nutrition for runners, I would really heavily focus on the carbohydrates and the fats and the protein and the fluids, and then really fueling during training and racing. And that's really important still. But today I'm going to talk more about mindfulness and mindful eating as runners. And if you think about what mindfulness is derived from Buddhist teaching of mindfulness and meditation. And mindfulness is truly paying close attention to your foods and your desire to eat. And it's really being aware of all the different dimensions of eating. And we have all different types of hungers that I want to go through really quickly because it's kind of interesting. We have mouth hunger, which is what we really want, what we want the taste of. We have a mind hunger, what we think about eating, what might feel good to us. We have stomach hunger, and that is our physiological stomach hunger. We have the cellular hunger, which is when you need water or when you're craving salt. That is a hunger at a cellular level. And believe it or not, we have nose hunger when we smell food, and then brain hunger when we think about food, when we think about the foods that we want to eat. So there's all different types of hunger, and mindful eating is truly being aware of all these different hungers and being aware of all the different dimensions of eating. And as runners, it's so important for us to be really mindful of our body as runners, also our mind and our feelings and our thoughts. So, I want you to think about, as I'm talking, asking yourself these questions. Is the food I'm eating really working for me physically and emotionally? Is the food I'm eating really nurturing and nourishing my body? Is the food I'm eating helping or sabotaging my running? Is the food I'm eating helping my overall health and well-being? And is the food I'm eating really working for me? Is it truly working for me? And I want to focus on that for just a second. Everyone is so individual and everyone is so different, and food is so very, very complicated, and food is so very individual. There's nobody else like you. There's no one else with your body. There's no one else with your parents and grandparents and your DNA. So mindful eating is really figuring out what works best for your body, and what works best for your friend's body and what works best for their training and their running is not going to be the same as what works best for you. And to get ready for this lecture, I was listening to a podcast with Desi Linden. And as you know, Desi won the Boston Marathon in 2018. And Desi drinks 1 cup of coffee before her run because that makes her really happy and it makes her body going. It helps her bowels get going. And then she finishes her run and she immediately drinks another cup of coffee. And that morning on the podcast, she actually drank 3 Americanos before her talk. And, Desi also drinks whiskey. She's a real whiskey connoisseur. And the interviewer asked her, Desi, do you stop drinking whiskey before your races? And she said, heck no. I don't stop because whiskey really, it makes me happy. She's truly a whiskey connoisseur. I also spoke to a few of our local runners. One is Susie Seeley. You've probably heard of Susie. She's run almost 300 marathons. And Susie had a lot of GI distress, and she ran 150 marathons with kind of GI distress, not feeling good, not being able to really fuel properly for her races. And then she figured it out through food testing and food sensitivity testing. And she's run the next 150 races, 150 marathons, really feeling good. And Susie suggested that I tell you that food can either sabotage your body and your running, or it can help your running, and it can help your body. And it really is wonderful when you figure out what really feels good and helps you train and race successfully. Some of you might know Steve Boone. I just talked to him 5 minutes ago before this, and he's run 760 marathons. And Steve Boone said he's proud to say that he has eaten at a Subway sandwich station in all 50 states in America, and a Subway in every continent except Antarctica. That is his pre-race meal, his pre-race lunch, and that really works for him. So it really is very, very individual, and I encourage you to figure out exactly what works best for you. With mindfulness and running, mindfulness is really thinking about food, what food will affect your GI stomach, and what will affect your needs. And mindfulness is really figuring out what your energy needs are based on your training regimen, how many miles you run, your height, your weight, are you male, are you female, and your genetics. And some of the steps to eating mindfully, my first really important step is that I encourage you that you really ditch the diet mentality. Oftentimes with runners, we think skinnier is better and skinnier is faster. And that is not necessarily true. People go on fad diets and they don't have the fuel or they don't have the energy to be able to really meet their running needs. And so I really encourage you to ditch the diet mentality, let go of really strict, rigid food rules like eating a certain number of calories or following a very specific, rigid food rules. I also encourage you not to listen to the diet police. And diet police can be yourself, or it could be others telling you that food is perhaps good or bad. When food is food is not good or bad. Food is food. Food is fuel. Food is energy. Food is very pleasurable. Food is connection. And for runners, food is it's a lot of connection and it's enjoyment and pleasure. So I really ask you to be careful of who you listen to, what social media you watch. Is the advice you're listening to, is it really helpful or could it be toxic? And then to steer away from that. Another principle of mindful eating is truly eating when you're hungry and stopping when you're satisfied. And there's a wonderful hunger scale. And if you want me to send it to you, I could email it to Bob and he could forward it to you. The hunger scale is a scale from 0 to 10, 0 and 1 being so hangry that you could eat your arm, and then 10 being so full that you're really uncomfortably full, way beyond, say, Thanksgiving fullness. Those don't feel good, and they're certainly not going to help your running career. It's really important to eat when you're hungry and eat the foods that really feel good to you, and then stop when you're truly satisfied. 2 and 3 is that normal physiological hunger, and maybe 6 and 7 is feeling satisfied. If you get to the 8, you're feeling full. 9 is like really full. Papacito's full. You ate too much. And then 10 is stuffed. And we really want to avoid those because, again, those are going to not benefit your running and your training. And we want to avoid the 0s and the 1s because that is, you're allowing yourself to get too hungry. And what that could lead to is then overeating. And again, if you're so hungry or you're really hungry, you're not honoring your fuel needs as a runner. Another principle of mindful eating is really being non-judgmental. Again, food is not good or bad. Food is fuel. Food is energy. Food is connection. Food is very social. Food is bad if it's green and moldy or crawling up the wall, then it's bad. But food is not good or bad, and I think we should not label food good or bad, because then we're labeling ourselves as good or bad based on what we eat. And there's a principle that all foods fit, perhaps even cupcakes or even chocolate bars. They absolutely fit in a really balanced nutrition plan, and all foods do fit, even for runners. But again, it is figuring out what foods are the best for your particular body. I think it's so important to really experience food, to experience your senses, to experience food as, is it good? Is it crunchy? Is it hot? Is it cold? Is it sour? And really only eat foods that really feel good to you and that taste good, not necessarily that you have to eat certain foods. As a final message, because I know I'm only supposed to talk for 10 minutes, I hope that you all are really, truly compassionate during this very uncertain times. I know your running schedules are off. Races have been canceled. Group runs have been canceled. Your Wednesday PIM, Power and Motion groups have been postponed. And I hope that you are truly compassionate to yourself and really treating your body with respect in terms of not under eating and not overeating. Now is the time to really stock up on compassion, because emotions are so high and there's a lot of fear and anxiety, and a lot of fear and anxiety really surrounding food. I've had people stop me and say, I can't stop eating. And that eating is really based on fear and anxiety. So I ask you to be really in the moment right now and be truly compassionate with yourselves as we go through these very uncertain times. And also knowing that people, and especially runners are strong, runners are very resilient, and we will get through this. And we certainly will be back on the trails soon enough, and we will be back to racing. So that is my 10 minute spiel, and I would love to come back when you all do meet as a group and meet you in person. I think I can open it up to questions. I have one comment, boredom eating. Yes. So when you're eating because of emotions, that's called emotional eating. Sometimes we call that mindless eating. And I think that's the time to be really aware of why am I eating? Am I lonely? Am I stressed? Am I bored? Am I anxious? Is this coming from a place of fear? And really being in that moment, stopping yourself and asking yourself, wow, what am I feeling right now? And is this food going to help me at this moment? It's going to help me temporarily because I'm bored, but long term, it really is not going to serve a purpose for my running and my future running career or my future running races. So, Anne, I hope that I saw that you wrote boredom eating, and yes, that people do eat for emotional reasons. And what I ask is that you just stop and ask yourself, why am I turning to food right now? Is it something emotional, or is it a physiological need? And just to be in that moment and really ask yourself some really hard questions about the food. So I hope that if it was a question, I hope it answered your question. If not, I do hear what you're saying with boredom eating. Does anybody else have any questions or comments? Bob, yes, I appreciate your question. I am seeing clients remotely right now. That is all I can do based on, of course, the quarantine, and I want to respect everyone's health. I am seeing clients remotely, and I do give a discount to runners because I'm so passionate about running. So yes, thank you. I am seeing clients remotely. Mm-hmm. And thank you. Great advice. Thank you. I hope it helped. Any other questions? Bob, I'll watch for your note to tell me what to do or what to do next. I don't see any other questions. Oh, I do. Hold on. I have a book. This book is called Intuitive Eating, and it is it's fabulous. It is the two dietitians wrote the book. One is Evelyn Triboli and one is Elise Reich. And it's a fabulous book about really eating intuitively and mindfully. There's a difference. Mindfully is being in the moment, being really present in the moment. And then intuitive eating encompasses, there's 10 different principles to intuitive eating. So I think it's a great book for runners. It's a great book for everybody. And I thank you so very much for your time. And I hope to see you out on the trails. And everyone stay safe and stay well. Take good care of yourself. Bye-bye.